I'm going to tackle the elephant in the room. I know many anime-onlys that probably just finished this episode are going to be talking about one primary subject, and that would be about Kayano dying and then being brought back thanks to Koro-sensei. Now, I know this is going to be one of the biggest topics, the biggest debates of this episode, especially when it comes to anime-onlys. And I have a lot of reasons why this happened and why it makes sense, and I want to explain. I'm just going to say, I know this is going to be one of the biggest topics, so I want to get it out of the way first, before I get into the other meaning of this episode. So, Koro-sensei, he saved Kayano from death. Well, she technically died. She died, and Koro-sensei was able to save her. And majority of people are going to look at that scene, if you're an anime only, as an asspull. And maybe you're a manga reader and you still thought it was an asspull. But hopefully I get some clarification, you might understand what that entire scene actually meant. So, it does make sense, and it isn't entirely an asspull, because it actually goes along with Koro-sensei's character. For one, Koro-sensei, he became a teacher, and he made himself look weak. He took that form because he wanted to be someone that could protect his students, someone that could protect others, instead of constantly being an assassin that kills others. That was one of the main things that changed about him when he met the person that he loved. And at the scene of, the time when his lover died in his arms, he said this line, not the exact same line I'm going to say, but he said something very similar. He's like, if I wouldn't have spent my life entire time, like, trying to kill people or be an assassin, I could have actually protected, her. I could have actually saved her. I have the power to do so, but I can't do it because I focused all my efforts into killing. And he's like, if I would have put all this effort into something else, I could have done something even better to help her out. I could have saved the love of my life. And it's been an entire year since that happened. That's something I want everybody to take note of. It's been an entire year since the death of Koro-sensei's lover. Since the older sister of Kayano died. It's been an entire year. And Koro-sensei, at that time, he said he wished he would have put more effort into actually protecting others or helping others. And in that time span, it makes a lot of sense how Koro-sensei could have been studying of how he could protect people and save their lives. Instead of constantly focusing all his efforts into killing, he was actually focusing it into protecting. And it makes a lot of sense. I mean, we know Koro-sensei is a very smart individual. We got to see how he was the one that orchestrated the entire events to turn his body into what it was, and how he became that powerful. We know he manipulated the entire research when it came to that. We know he's a very smart individual. Koro-sensei learns and he constantly adapts. But one of the biggest things, though, people need to understand is that the older sister to Kayano died in a very similar fashion. She got punctured through the chest and she died. She died with a big hole inside of her. And he wishes he could have saved her. And Kayano kind of died in the exact same way. A very similar way. A little bit different, but kind of similar. And so Koro-sensei, obviously, he would be trying to figure out ways he could help students out if they are ever in that situation ever again. If they have a life-threatening injury that punctures maybe a very vital organ, he might have something that could be able to help them out. I mean, look, he does do Mach 20. I mean, he's fucking fast. So it kind of makes a lot of sense how he's able to grab, the blood cells and stuff of Kayano and help her out. It makes sense. It does. And for him to be able to think of it and, a plan to how to save them, it makes sense too. So the main thing is, it fits Koro-sensei's character. It fits how he tried to change himself and make up for the mistakes he made. Because one of the biggest things that Koro-sensei constantly held with him was his mistake on protecting the person he loved and letting him die. He felt very guilty and upset about that. And remember, it drove him to become a teacher and change his appearance to not look so creepy or evil. He became someone that was kind and sweet. So that's how we got to know the Koro-sensei we know today, was thanks to the actions and the mistakes that happened to him in the past and how he learned from them. So I like that scene. I really love how that adds weight into the entire emotions of the past for Koro-sensei and how he learned from his mistakes to be able to protect others. It was a really good scene. I know many might not like that scene because it might feel like an asspull, but personally to me, I enjoyed it. Now, when it comes to the overall, I guess, final battle with the final boss, the action-wise, I love the action. It is something I was truly shocked about when I read in the manga. And I have to admit, though, I will admit this, I believe the action, or the way the action scenes were done, was actually better in the manga. Now, obviously, animation looks a lot better, but I don't know, for some reason, I just prefer the manga when it came to the action scenes. Now, that's just my personal preference. The scenes in this episode looked fantastic, but I personally prefer the manga when it came to the action. But the action was still very very nice. And it was something that you, once again, do not expect from Assassination Classroom. I mean, look at it. Assassination Classroom is a series that teaches you life lessons and lets you learn things. You don't usually get battles and stuff, and that's what we got in this episode. Like, almost an entire episode focused on fighting and Koro Sensei going all in. It was a really interesting episode, and it reminded me a lot of like a shonen episode. And at the end of the day, you know, Assassination Classroom is a shonen, but it's just amazing how a shonen that doesn't really focus on battles did such a good battle. That's one of the main things we all need to take note of. So yeah, the episode, it was really good. It let us know that Koro Sensei has learned. We have the conclusion of our in-game bosses. They were both defeated and disintegrated thanks to the barrier, and Koro Sensei got to say his final goodbyes to his student and finally acknowledge him for what he was and let him know he does care about him. So it was a really sweet scene, final conclusion to that. And then seeing Koro Sensei, you know, with talking to his lover, like, you know, just saying, have I made you happy? Have I made you proud for what my decisions I have made? It was just a very heart-touching scene, a lot of feels, and that opening song doesn't help, and so does that ending song. The feels are really fucking strong, especially when you watch the opening song and you see how it says 90 minutes remaining. I'm like, bro, it's almost done. The series is almost done. It's almost fucking done. It's like almost GG for the series. And I'm like, bro, it's about to end. Literally, 2 weeks. Just 2 weeks. It's done. Seriously. Assassination Classroom is done in 2 weeks. So yeah, it's kind of sad. But, I mean, all good things must eventually come to an end. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please be safe. Chibi out.